Hey everyone, Pepcrat here with another video. This time I want to break down Byzantine openings, or opening, I guess you could say. Basically, recently I have been picking up Byzantine again. A while ago, a few seasons ago, I did a video breaking them down. I think the understanding of Byzantines has increased. Some changes have caused Byzantine to play differently, and I wanted to share the things I found and what I have found interesting about the Byzantine for those of you who are interested in both learning about playing them or wanting to counter them and know what to expect, and just kind of like what's kind of the things percolating on the top player side around Byzantines. As always, if you like coaching, $20 an hour, I would do a 3-pack of sessions for $50. If you're interested in that, check the link to my coaching Discord in the box below the video. As always, please like and subscribe. It's really huge for a channel my size. So the context of the Byzantines, when they were released a few seasons ago, they were bad. They felt really slow. They could often get rushed early. And while the cisterns did seem strong, they were pretty expensive. And so for a while, it felt like they were struggling. While some top players did think they were pretty good, it was really hard for most players to like unlock them. But it was quickly understood how strong cisterns were. The idea that you could buff the gather rate of vills everywhere that under their influence was really good. The issue is it was easy to feel like you'd have to make them outside your base, which put them in danger. It was really easy to forget to switch between their different powers to really maximize them. And in the early states, they were quite expensive to make all 5 for your maximum value. And I think also early on, the amount that they were buffing was less. If I'm wrong on that, my bad. But just in general, it was understood they're powerful, but it wasn't quite enough to make them feel good to go. But then over time, though, I think they buffed the gather rates, and people started to realize, wow, Byzantine's really good. And there's a period where Byzantine was very dominant. You could produce units very quickly. Your eco is very, very strong. You could make units to still go castle pretty easily. And there's a while where Byzantine was like a terror, and especially in people who really understood how to use them. They were very, very strong. Early on, though, when the openings of Byzantines was pretty straightforward, you would have enough stone to start with a cistern, and you could make your second one by the time you aged up. And that was kind of it. Because the next cistern was so expensive, the third cistern, that you kind of had to, if you went for it too quickly, it would feel like you were too far behind and you would die to an all-in. It was very common early on for people to test going really fast 5 cistern, but just felt way too expensive. But for a while, Byzantine was very, very good. Then the Pro Scout meta really changed Byzantines. They were a civ that didn't want to really get deer. They wanted to be on berries because the olive oil allows you to make mercenaries. And so they didn't really want to be on the deer, and it felt like doing Pro Scouts with Byzantines felt not great because you weren't getting your mercenaries, you were eating deer instead. And then next to that as well, a real issue was that if you wanted to deny another civ's Pro Scouts, it was difficult. And if they got enough deer in, you're getting outproduced, and usually you had to ignore going cisterns to deny the Pro Scouts because you had to put all your resources in making units, so then your eco was bad. It didn't feel great. So Biz really kind of fell off during the Pro Scout meta. So then they nerfed Pro Scouts, which of course helped Biz, but they made the cisterns cheaper. And for a while, this was experimented with, and I think really recently people are starting to really understand the power of just rushing cisterns. And so that's what I really want to focus on, is how this cheaper cistern change, I think, has kind of changed how we play Byzantines. So recently, as I said, I was trying to pick them up again. I was losing a lot with them, where before when I played them, I felt like I understood them pretty well. I felt like I could win pretty consistently, and then all of a sudden I was struggling again. So I do what I usually do whenever I lose this much, is that I go and I watch better people play. So what was I doing? I remembered briefly when the cistern change occurred to make them cheaper, people were like, okay, let's try putting a lot of vills on stone early. It still didn't feel that great. So a lot of times people said, when you open, when you're Byzantine opening, you needed to build 3 buildings to be able to make your first cistern. So you put 1 vill on stone, 1 vill on gold, 1 vill builds the house. Then you go 7 on food, and then you go 3 on gold, and then you just go to food. And you just leave 1 vill on stone, and you just passively add cisterns. And then in feudal or maybe in castle, you put a lot of villas on stone and you rush the cisterns up, or you get them passively by making buildings. The issue I was facing was that I felt like my eco never really took over. Like, it felt like before when I played Byzantine, I had a good feel of like when my eco was popping and when I could take advantage of that. Now it felt like, I don't know, it felt like people knew my own power spike. It felt like I wasn't able to get units out fast enough, or I couldn't transfer from booming to unit mass as well as I used to. It just felt like something wasn't clicking. So how I learn whenever I'm stuck in these situations is I just go watch better players play. Like I watch Demu, I watch Valdemar. What I do is I go to the watch tab on AOE 4. I put in the civ I want to learn, and then instead of watching it via the Twitch, which can be slow and there can be issues with that, I go onto AOE 4 the game, and oftentimes a lot of the top players just leave their replays open because they're really nice, so I just watch those games. And I really focus on their opening. I focus on how they're opening. I focus on if that opening changes depending on the civ they're playing against, or the map they're playing on. And then I try to see how they like use that, like what's their transitions, when are they focusing on eco, when are they focusing on units, what units are they making, things like that. And I watch a lot of film and then I try to apply it to myself. So what did I see? I immediately saw how rushing cisterns has become really big at the top level. So it wasn't uncommon to have anywhere from 3 to 5 vills on stone and dark age. And the goal was you're trying to get those 5 cisterns with ASAP. And that used to be like, no, you would never do that because it was so expensive, it takes so long. Now with the cisterns being a flat 120 stone, you can, 1, drop them everywhere, so your eco's always boosted. But 2, it's actually worth it to rush these cisterns. And once you have the 5 cistern boost, your eco is so snappy. You can make units so quickly because the bonus on unit production is massive. And so you can rush 5 cisterns, and even if you're getting pushed, you can make units so fast that you can catch up and then overwhelm your opponent. And so there's some variations that I saw that I would like to break down. So first, the variation I saw for Pro Scout civs. That one I saw a couple different ways, but the biggest one is you want to be ultra greedy. Like you want to either be ultra greedy or be somewhat greedy into units. So for example, I saw examples where people went 4 cisterns into second TC into castle, into 5/5 cistern into castle, and then push. And they're kind of letting them get the deer. Now, the reason this worked was that the maps that this was done on were very compact maps. So a lot of your eco was kind of close. You could drop a second TC on the eco, like on a deer pack, and use that deer pack. So you're claiming 1 with the TC. But the idea was your eco would be so good on 2 TC 5 cistern that you could still just overwhelm a civ that got all the deer on the map for themselves. Versus non-pro scout civs, you still didn't want to do second TC because if your opponent really mass units and pushed in feudal, it would be hard. Like that second TC on top of the cistern cost is super expensive and you couldn't catch back up. So versus non-pro scout civs, you're just rushing the 5 cisterns, and then just making units. And then if they go castle, you make some units enough to defend a castle push and then go castle yourself. I mean, and often like you can even make units and go castle and still have a pretty good timing, even if the other person's rushing castle under 5 cisterns. As I said, the ultimate greed is you 4 or 5 cistern into second TC. And what I like about this opening too is that if your opponent goes second TC, you can very easily add 1. Like I was playing against an English player. I had 4 villas on stone and dark age. And I scouted that they were doing the king opening 2 TC. So I made 3 cisterns, added a second TC, and then just made my second 2 cisterns. And easily matched their second TC. Because I already had 4 villas on stone, so I just put the stone to a second TC instead. So it allows you to match greed and then do it better, because if you're both on 2 TC but you have 5 cisterns, it's just better. So that's really, really nice. Now how to counter this? 1, I think Dark Age play against Byzantine is almost necessary. Like some sort of like towering berries, towering gold, even sending spears so they can't sit on stone early. You need to disrupt that easy cistern ad. If you do that, if you force them to making too many units, you go castle. If you force them into a bad comp, and then you can win, things like that. Like, I just don't think you can let them set up the cisterns. That's not to say you can't win, but you're making it harder on yourself. And honestly, it feels like you get the 5 cisterns set up and you're both fighting in feudal, the Byzantine player is just going to outboom you while making units. So it feels like some sort of Dark Age play to push them off an easy cistern ad is pretty vital in these instances. So the current biz strats I kind of saw watching top players play, and that I've been testing myself. Against TC Eco Greed, so by that I mean like the manners from House of Lancaster, Against Malians, I would still kind of feudal all in as Byzantine because their castle pop is so strong with Calboom. But against another TC, you can make a couple Limitine, and then you just make longbows. And you harass the longbow, so that makes it so if they're on any exposed resources, your longbows are killing them. Your Limitine are delaying the first couple horsemen, and you go castle, and then you just do cataphracts and longbows. And it's really, really strong. Cataphracts are super tanky. They're gonna want to make spears and crossbows. Your longbows easily dash up spearmen. If there's no spearmen, your cataphracts can get on top of crossbows really easily, and you're playing like right near their base, so they can never really mass very big. It's very, very good. Or you could just go 2TC yourself and add cisterns and then have better eco than them. Against pro scouts, you rush cisterns and then potentially TC as well, and then you go castle and you fight in castle, and you battle over the relics and then you fight. Against a Dark Age rush, you try to adjust and push back. So what I mean by that is if you see it coming, one, if you really think it's going to happen, Byzantine can just drop their own barracks and actually play Dark Age very well. Once they get their first cistern up, their Dark Age eco is usually better. They can produce spearmen faster, so that feels really, really good. But if they adjust, they should be fine. Like, find another gold, go to a different berries, make units. They could burn the tower down. They could just push back with spears and archers, things like that. Against a feudal attack, you want to try to secure some safe resources of a wall or something, get your cisterns up, and then just out eco them and out produce them with your cistern. And then you fight in feudal. Don't try to rush castle, just fight. Like, you should win just with your pure ability to make units. But basically, the basic open ASOL is you put 4 on food, 1 to stone, 1 to gold, build a house, rally 1 to food, so you have 5 on food, then rally 3 vills to stone, so you have 4 on stone, and then you just rally to food until you age up. And then you might want to add a second fill on gold at some point as well. Keep in mind, Byzantine feudal all-in still works very well. You can do 5 cisterns into a feudal all-in and just try to outmass them even if they go castle. I still want to experiment with the Hippodrome. It just feels like if you don't go Grand Winery, you're missing out on so many early mercenaries, which is such a huge boost to your early army. So it just feels hard to go Hippodrome unless you're doing some like mass cav, quick castle into mass cataphracts sort of thing. The Hippodrome can be good if you're really good at timing the healing / speed ability, Triumph, but like if you don't use that very well, then it's kind of a waste, and you can feel how bad your eco is as the game goes on from lacking the Grand Winery. Overall, thanks for watching. I hope you liked that little breakdown to Biz as we head into season 11. If you have any thoughts, comments, things like that, please add below, and thank you so much, and good luck on your games.